Hey, I want to welcome everyone to the Technology Source event today, the virtual roundtable. Our special guest today will be Scott Haley from AirSpring, who I'll introduce here in just a moment. Wanted to take a moment to kind of speak to the topic here, right, of our SMB partners that are definitely making the change to SD-WAN and look at some of the things that are driving that change. I think that was pretty enlightening, Scott, when I started looking at some of the data behind this, because you and I had this conversation around the SMBs and how they kind of have been the last frontier on SD-WAN. And after looking at these numbers, is pretty interesting to me why that is. And we'll show that here in just a moment. But a little bit about us before we get too deep into things. Technology Source is a technology advisory firm that works alongside your team to create best-in-breed solutions. We represent over 500 providers in managed IT services, including cybersecurity, telecom, and mobility. Technology Source works closely with our partners to reduce operational expenses and improve efficiencies while delivering an outstanding experience for their customers. And today will be a great example of how we're going to help all three of those things with SD-WAN. A little bit about how we add value and what really differentiates us. Number one, even though we're a technology distributor at heart, we offer a lot of things that assist our customers in terms of escalation support, as an example, both during implementation and post-sale. We all know that implementations can be difficult in IT, and having someone there to help assist with those implementations and get that done is critical. We provide that necessary leverage you need, right? You gain leverage with the suppliers who assist with those escalations. All of our providers want us to recommend them, and that comes in handy when there's an issue. We can provide a little bit of pressure to get things done for our customers. We also make recommendations. We don't just turn you over to the warehouse and say, pick what you want. We're looking at things like your challenges, your technical requirements, your timeline, your budget, and then we're reviewing our past implementation experience so that we're not referring or recommending providers where we've had a challenge in the past. And I'm proud to say that, Scott, we've not had any issue at AirSpring. Negotiation, we have a lot of requests for bids and to do bids with the providers, and honestly, that just doesn't work. We have a different approach to negotiating, which we find works a lot better than the bid process, and we work with our clients to drive not only the best solution, but the best price. Budget creation, this is one of the areas where we help quite often with our clients as they're looking to create more budget for cybersecurity or the WAN, and we'll look at other technologies in their business. Remember, the cost of technology goes down over time, and so we'll look at other technologies within their business in order to help identify cost savings that can then be reallocated to the priority project that you're working on today. And then our quarterly business reviews, our QBRs, are just a helpful way for us to align with your company, understand your goals, your objectives, and assist with those critical projects as needed. So these are all the things that we do to add value and differentiate us in this space. And it's worked. 3,600 client partners, 500 providers. We operate in 60 countries with 250 trusted advisors supporting our client base. So, Scott, here's the interesting information. And I did some research on this subject. I was kind of amazed at just what I uncovered, but let's start here. 90% of our clients believe that proactive, persistent network management is critical to deliver the network performance they're looking for. So that's a big number. It says, hey, they want to deliver a great experience internally. It's critical to their roles that they provide the uptime and performance. But here's a kind of a sorry number. 47% of the SMB's IT time is allocated to networking related issues. So it's taking up a lot of maintenance. That's time that can be reallocated on more strategic initiatives that benefit the business as opposed to doing maintenance. 10% of the SMBs are currently using SD-WAN, but 25% are planning adoption in the next 12 months. So folks are waking up to the fact that they need this technology. They put it off long enough. It's time to allocate some budget and bring this technology in. I think that MPLS product has probably gotten a little long in the tooth, and it's time to upgrade that too. I thought we'd take a quick look at whether or not your business needs SD-WAN. And here's 5 things that'll help you identify whether or not you're a candidate for taking a look at this. But number one, if you're a business that manages traffic between multiple sites, particularly when a large amount of traffic is handled and time delays have a huge impact, such as retail and banking, where latency can be problematic. If you're a business with reliance on SaaS or cloud-based applications, most digital businesses now rely on these solutions to thrive. Number three, businesses with highly sensitive data that want to silo and protect this data with secure SD-WAN solutions. Businesses in the legal, education, government, health, or tech sectors stand out. Number four, businesses with legacy WANs that are struggling to keep up with modern IT infrastructure demands. And then finally, if you're a business with a legacy WAN that has an excessively high CapEx and OpEx cost, which we've seen and we see all the time. And we just had an example with a client recently that needed us to pull 20% out of their network costs. And we were successful at doing three things for them. We delivered a 30% cost savings. We doubled their bandwidth and provided a redundant network, which they didn't have in the past, which is important. They were a large retailer with an online e-commerce exposure, and they really needed to have that type of protection to have 100% uptime. So I want to introduce Scott Haley. Scott is the Director of Channel Sales at AirSpring. AirSpring is one of our premier providers, probably one of the premier providers in SD-WAN, Scott. I'd have to argue. We use you frequently with our clients. I mentioned the importance of implementation. I don't think I've ever got a screaming phone call from anybody in my 4.5 years at the company. AirSpring does a great job of not just delivering a great product at a great price, but supporting that product long after the sale occurred. So, Scott, give us a little update on a little background on your bio, where you came from, what you're doing, where you're going.
You bet. You bet. You want me to go ahead and start sharing my screen a little bit?
You can, sure.
Okay. Well,
There you are, sir.
there we go. All right. So if you can see my picture there, obviously been in the business a long time. You can see I've got some graying hair going there. Obviously, it shows that I've been in the business a while, both length of time and headaches. But seriously, I've been in this business now literally over 30 years. So I've seen the technology change from basic plain old telephone lines to full internet services, security services. Goodness, when I got in this business, you couldn't even choose your local provider. You were stuck with whoever the local provider was. So we've really seen it grow. And one thing about this industry, I think that I've seen more than anything else is the converging of technology. Used to be everything was totally separate. But once everything started moving from analog to digital, all of a sudden digital allows for integrations between different product sets. And so now everything kind of fits together. It's really pretty cool. It's been a great adventure seeing this industry change. And it's hard to keep up with. My goodness, it's hard for us that are actually in this business full time. I can't imagine being a customer who's trying to run a business that's not technology related, trying to figure out, well, what's the best technology for me? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah, a lot of options out there, a lot of things to consider. Will it integrate? Will it implement? What do we do post-sale? Is there longevity? I mean, there's so many technologies, you buy them and then 6 months later they're obsolete. Things are moving that quick. And the good news is SD-WAN there's nothing really on the horizon that I think is threatening to replace SD-WAN anytime soon.
Not yet, and I don't see it. So why don't we kind of jump in a little bit? I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about our company, but I do want to share just a couple of key things that I think are important to you as a customer. One, we are a family-owned and operated business. These are the three brothers that started the company, and they own and operate the company daily. The reason why I think that's important is we're not some faceless public company out there that you can never, you don't know who you're talking to, who you're dealing with. We're a 100% channel partner, and what that means is this, and this is why I think it's important for a customer. We don't sell to the public directly. We only utilize trusted advisors like Technology Source to actually go in with customers. And the reason why that's important, not just for us, it's important for you as a customer, because if you've got a carrier out there that's just got a bunch of direct sales reps, listen, they're here today, gone tomorrow, for one thing. They also have a vested interest in, they're going to sell you only what they've got to sell you, period. And they're going to sell the provider that pays their paycheck, period. The nice thing about a trusted advisor is they're unbiased, they're objective. They've got, as Rob mentioned, Technology Source has 500 different providers. That means they're not beholden to any one provider, right? You're their customer. You're what's important. And so they're going to bring you the best providers that fit for you, what's in your best interest. That's why I think that's important. Other aspects about us as a company, no outside investment in the company at all. So we're not beholden to investors, PE companies, VC money, nothing. What that means is we can make good long-term decisions for our customers and our trusted advisors like Technology Source. We don't have to meet quarterly numbers, so to speak, and make bad decisions for a company that are going to make the company unhealthy and not perform well for our customers. Debt-free and profitable, don't know many companies that are that way today. We've always been debt-free and profitable for 22 years now. And then the other aspect is this. We actually combine the best networks in the world, networks like the AT&Ts of the world, the Verizons of the world, British Telecom, the global companies. We actually marry their high-quality global networks with personalized customer service that's high touch, that a mid-sized provider can provide, that a mega provider just can't do.
Hey, Scott, one of the things I think is really important about the investment piece is, and we've seen this with the big companies, the AT&Ts, the Lumens, is that they get so large that they start cutting back on the operational side of the house, right? They're trying to meet Wall Street guidelines or comparisons with other companies. And we see those cuts. And we've seen cuts in the last few months, layoffs. And the layoffs never seem to occur to the salespeople. They always occur to the operational and implementation support. And that's how bad things start to happen. And one of the reasons why we make recommendations, because if you just look at reviews and everyone's got a 5-star review, that sounds good and you feel good, but what happens if they had a layoff 2 weeks ago? Now, all of a sudden, your implementation is at risk. So our recommendations are important, and the fact that you are in control of your destiny is important too, because that means, and it makes us feel good because it means that that consistency of quality in your implementations and support is going to continue. So I'm glad you made that point. That's a great point.
I appreciate that. And just to tag on to that, AirSpring has never had a layoff in the history of the company.
Yeah.
Period. Ever. Which I think is important, even during the pandemic. In fact, we hired during the pandemic. So we're financially sound. We do a lot of stuff, but I just want you to focus on two things today, and that is connectivity and SD-WAN in the United States or anywhere in the world. So we actually operate in 190 countries. So when to think of us is anytime you need connectivity or SD-WAN. And we think those two items are super, super important. So connectivity basically is the plumbing. It's what the network transports on. It's extremely, extremely important. SD-WAN creates a huge amount of features and benefits that a just standalone network can't provide, and we're going to talk about some of that. The other aspect is we do operate a global private network, so we can do global aggregation worldwide. That means to you, customer, that means one bill, one customer service number to call anywhere in the world. So everyone's familiar with this. If you're running a business, I don't care if you're a 5-person business or a 5,000-person business, everything is starting to become as a service. And what that means is, that means all your core functions of running your business are off premise. They're not sitting in your office. You don't typically have a closet that's got a bunch of servers in it anymore. You're connecting to the internet, and you've got to connect to the internet to do business. And so I always ask this question to every single customer. Or I actually would like you to ask yourself, what happens to my business if I don't have stable connectivity, I lose internet access, I don't have enough bandwidth, or a disaster strikes, like a hurricane, for example? So this is where we get into the term called business continuity. Obviously, keeping your business running, really, really important. If you lose internet access, it's kind of like losing electricity 25 years ago. If you lost electricity, your business was down until the electricity came back up. Well, internet's kind of the same way. You lose internet access and everything is connected via the internet. You can't run your business anymore. So just a real quick short list. I mean, you can lose transactional revenue. Part of that transactional might be credit cards. You're a small retail shop or a big retail shop. I can't take credit cards. Cost of employees, non-productive time. They can't work, which means you're paying employees every hour or on salary, and they're sitting around doing nothing, just waiting for the internet to come back up. Loss of business opportunities. We talked about that with credit cards. Could be that you take online orders. Could be that you're a restaurant that's focused on the to-go business, especially pizza shops. Well, you can't take to-go orders if your internet's down because your phone system is reliant on your internet. So we could go on and on and on. So I won't go into too much detail, but you can see it's real expensive. And so the kind of bottom question that I always ask there is, what's the cost of not being able to do business for an hour, a day, a week, or even longer? And sometimes it's longer now we're seeing with things like ransomware. So it's not just the network stability that's involved here. So I'm not going to go through and read all these to you, but I just want you to see a couple of things. Basically for SMBs, the leading analysts in the country, not just one, but several of them, they all show that an SMB, the cost per hour of downtime is $8,000 to $74,000. It says that 80% of SMBs, it costs them $20,000 per hour. Per hour. I like to be real conservative. So let's just come over and let's just say it's $10,000 an hour. If you're an SMB, my downtime only cost me $10,000 an hour. That translates into $167 per minute. How many minutes can you afford to be down before it starts impacting your business? That's when we start thinking about things like connectivity, and we're going to talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, Scott, we had a local coffee shop that experienced an outage in the middle of the day, and they had 4 sites. And what was interesting, they had to send everybody home. But in talking to the owner, I don't think he really understood, with the impact and what was all running on the internet and how beholden he was to the internet. But he said he couldn't take orders at the drive-through. He couldn't process credit cards. He couldn't take orders. His employees couldn't clock in or clock out. He couldn't check in inventory. Couldn't run Wi-Fi in the store. Couldn't run music in the store. Basically, the only thing they could do is make coffee. And I think so often we get caught up in our businesses and we don't really take a step back and look at what would happen. And that's a great question, right? What would happen if all of a sudden I didn't have access to my network? And what would it cost me? And it's a big cost, and I'm sure that in their case, it was at least $10,000 an hour. So I think that's I think it's a fair number, not a scary number, but a fair number.
Yep, I think so. I think it's realistic. It's what we see in the marketplace.
Yeah. There's a lot of scary numbers out there, but I don't think they're realistic. I think that's a number that looks pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's why I always try to be conservative. I tend to cut things in half most of the time. So, if that's true. So listen, building a wide area network, that's become complex these days. There's a lot of things that plug into it, a lot of things that are having to be accomplished. If you're a customer, if you don't know what a wide area network is, that's essentially you going out to the internet, or if you've got multi-locations, it's connecting those multi-location sites in different geographic locations. Most businesses have to have a wide area network these days, even if it's a straight network with just access to the internet. So with AirSpring, we specialize in connectivity. It's our biggest revenue producer and what we sell the most of. And so we actually can connect people in any type of mode that they need. And what that means is, if we're talking about fiber, we're talking about direct internet access. Broadband used to just mean, think of cable, used to be that coax cable. Now there's actually a lesser form of fiber with broadband fiber. Doesn't have SLAs on it, but it is up and down the same speed. That's the biggest difference. Whereas if you're familiar with cable, your downstream is a higher bandwidth than your upstream, so to speak. That's the biggest differences. The other is broadband fiber is much more stable than broadband coax. Also very inexpensive. Good stuff. 4G, 5G wireless. Customer needs to connect that way. We absolutely can do that. We use 2 of the 3 largest. We use AT&T and Verizon, depending on the customer's location. Satellite's kind of a last resort, but if you need it, if you're out in some rural area and there's no other options, we actually can connect you via satellite, or even fixed wireless. Do a fair amount of fixed wireless as well. That may be that you need something up really quick. Fixed wireless can do that and run it like a DIA circuit, a direct internet circuit, that kind of quality. can be temporary, can be 1 year. There's a lot of different options. Or maybe there's some reason fiber is just not available, but you need a fiber type circuit with the SLAs. That's what fixed wireless does. So I just want you to see real quick, we utilize all the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 carriers in the United States. In other words, those are the highest quality ratings, tier 1 and tier 2 especially, as well as in rural areas, some cable cos, those kind of things. And then we are a global company, so we actually have 190 plus underlying network providers that we utilize. All the best global providers in the world should you need international circuits. And don't forget, people always just think across the pond when they think international. Don't forget Canada is international. People tend to forget that sometimes. So we monitor every single thing in the network. Every circuit, doesn't matter where it is in the world. We have a 24/7, 365 NOC, fully staffed. Again, monitor everything. We will actually, if you're using us for SD-WAN and you've got third-party circuits, you've already got circuits in that can't be replaced, they're in the middle of a term agreement or something like that, we'll actually monitor those third-party circuits for you. What that means is, as long as we can ping that circuit, if an alarm goes off or a circuit goes down, our NOC will contact that other carrier's NOC, place a trouble ticket on your behalf, and notify you, the customer. At that point, you've got to deal with that other carrier, obviously. But it's just a service that we offer. And one reason why that's important, if you look at the very bottom here, 93% of trouble tickets were opened by our NOC proactively. What that means is only 7% of the time did the customer have to start a trouble ticket. We actually knew ahead of time because we're monitoring those circuits at a deep level. So let's transition. We've talked about connectivity. Connectivity is the basic heavy plumbing that needs to be done. Now we're going to talk about traditional wide area network, and then in a minute we're going to compare that to an SD-WAN network. So a traditional wide area or WAN network, as it's called, if someone's got multi-locations and they need it to be secure, MPLS used to be basically the only answer to that. SD-WAN has a solution for that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Or if you needed a backup circuit, you actually had to have typically 2 separate circuits, and they traditionally didn't fail over directly to each other. If you had one circuit, go down, you had to, the IT department had to manually transfer over to the other circuit. The other bad thing about that is they're not both active circuits. So you may be paying for 2 internet circuits. One is sitting there just passive that you can't use, but you're paying full price for it. We've got a solution for that as well. So what are the disadvantages of traditional WAN? We've kind of talked about failover. They don't fail over automatically. The other thing is they don't fail back automatically. So let's say that you do have, there are some networks without SD-WAN that I can have 2 circuits. If one circuit goes down, automatically fail over to the other circuit. However, it can't automatically fail back. A physical IT person has to physically move that circuit back over. So it's a big deal, especially when you get into multi-location customers. So others, configuration is distributed, meaning that configuration is held locally. So let's just pretend this branch location. What if you had 10 branch locations in one HQ? That means you've got physical hardware at every single location, and someone has to manage that at that location. We've got a solution for that. The other is policies must be managed on a per device basis, and it requires an administrator to actually touch every single device physically to make those policy changes. So start thinking about that. I don't care if you've got 3 locations spread across the state or you've got 35 locations, or some of our customers 3,000 locations. Think about having to physically go and touch every single device, make those changes. In other words, you've got to log into that device on premise. You've got to physically connect to it to make those policy changes. What am I changing on me automatically? Excuse me. So, and again, this is getting a little bit redundant because I'm overlapping a little bit, but new site turn up, same thing. Let's say you've got 3 offices and I want to open up a 4th office. Well, you've got to send somebody physically to that 4th office. physically install devices, physically make all the security applications on it, all the digital certificates, everything's got to be updated, any business policies that you want to apply. You have to physically touch things. So let's talk about traditional WAN versus SD-WAN. We're going to talk about some high points. I'm not going to get technical, just going to talk about a little bit of stuff. So how does SD-WAN actually work? It's actually an overlay to an existing network. Okay, so it's a software network running on top of a physical network. That's the difference. And there's some big implications for that. So why switch to SD-WAN? We're going to talk about some top reasons for that. So compared to a traditional WAN architecture, SD-WAN improves service, flexibility. It makes it resilient, or another term might be bulletproof network. And then there's just a whole lot of capabilities that you can do with it that we're going to show you in a second. So let's talk about some of those things. So reason number one, we're going to go through the top 10 reasons. Independence and flexibility. So SD-WAN allows you to aggregate different circuit types that you can't do in that traditional WAN. So the traditional WAN was a one circuit going across, right? And it couldn't fail over on its own to another circuit. We actually, with SD-WAN, this is an SD-WAN box right here. We can actually run up to 4. In this example, 3 different type internet circuits going across, either to a data center or out to the public internet, to your software as a service applications. All right? So let's just say that's a DIA circuit, that's a broadband circuit, and that's a 4G, 5G wireless circuit. All right? We actually can run all the data and voice over all 3 paths simultaneously. Okay? The other thing is, you're active with all of these. What that means is you're not paying for circuits sitting there dead just in case a circuit fails. You're actually utilizing or aggregating bandwidth. In the long run, that's going to save you money. Here's a quick example. We've got a lot of customers nowadays that, not a large company, but they've got a 100 meg internet circuit at their office. They're at a term. They want to look at SD-WAN, or they want to have some primary and backup. They have no backup circuit at all. We could actually go in with Technology Source, put in a 50 meg internet circuit, which is basically half the cost of that 100 meg circuit, and then put a broadband circuit that's like $150. Now you have 2 circuits. You're aggregating the bandwidth. You're using everything. They fell over to each other back and forth, and you've actually spent less money than you had for that 100 meg internet circuit. Reason number 2, security. Security is a big thing these days. There's something in the industry, and a lot of customers are becoming aware of this now. It's not a matter of if you get breached, it's when you get breached. It's going to happen to almost everybody. So the best things you can do are everything you can do proactively to minimize it. That's what you want to do. SD-WAN has a bunch of security functions. We aren't going to go into that because it gets a little bit detailed, so to speak. I don't want to get in the weeds, but it just offers a bunch of security functions that a direct internet circuit by itself doesn't offer. So it minimizes things. In addition, all of the data is encrypted at a military-grade encryption rate going across the network. That's real important. So here's another reason why. Again, when I talk about it's not a matter of if, but when somebody gets breached, think of it just like your home. Why do people put a ADT sign or stickers in their window? The reason why they do that is because when a burglar sees that, instead of breaking into your house, they just want to go to the house next door that doesn't have an ADT sticker. It's kind of that way with security, especially in the small business world. When they go in and they start seeing, they try to penetrate something, and they start seeing a lot of security that's in place, it's just easier to go someplace else to the next business in line that doesn't have any security in place. That's who they want to attack, right? It's just easier. Reason number 3, smart pathway control. What that means is you can steer traffic. There's a lot of applications for that, but a very simple example of that is the difference between voice traffic and data traffic. So if you're running VoIP service or unified communications or SIP trunks, anything that's digital that's going across the internet, voice is very sensitive to latency and jitter. So you want a very stable network to run voice over. Well, the problem is if you're running both voice and data and someone's running big data files, or like an architecture firm that's running CAD files, or a hospital that's transporting huge image files. What that does is it disrupts the voice traffic. It can get a lot of jitter in it, garbled that you would hear, may even cause calls to drop. So SD-WAN actually prioritizes that traffic. So it's going to put voice always in front of data, because data can wait. If data has to wait 10 seconds for it to go down, doesn't hurt it. Voice can't wait at all. Reason number 4, reduced equipment and bandwidth cost. We've already kind of talked about that a little bit. Now you can aggregate bandwidth as far as that's concerned. You also don't have to have some of the physical equipment at every single location, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Reason number 5, ease of deployment and automatic configuration. So SD-WAN makes deploying WAN services very fast, very simple. What I mean by that is I don't have to send an IT staff person out to every physical site. You can actually pre-program devices. I could ship it to if a company has multiple sites, have it shipped to a site, and literally someone that's not technical, has no IT training, although we can have an engineer on the phone with them, they literally can plug that device in and it will register into the network on its own, hands off. It's super, super simple. You can never do that with an MPLS network, ever. So the other thing that's cool about these devices that are programmed is you could actually, let's say that you've got an office and you know I've got a hurricane coming in 4 days and I've only got 2 offices. One's in hurricane region, one's in not. You can literally unplug the SD-WAN box, take it to anywhere in the world, plug it into an internet connection. It will re-register into the network just like you were at your original location. Just some really, really cool stuff. And it's not even technical. A layperson can do that. So reason number 6, rapid provisioning. A good example is this. A direct internet circuit that you order, I don't care who the provider is, we'd love it to be us, but it doesn't matter. It's typically going to take 60 to 90 days to get that actually installed. That's the typical timeline. And if construction's involved, it's typically going to be about 120 days out. This is where SD-WAN comes in. Now, you could order a broadband coax circuit because broadband coax or cable service, it can usually be installed in 2 to 4 weeks, much, much quicker, or fixed wireless, sometimes within days, satellite, usually within 3 days. You can put in temporary solutions to start running your network while you're waiting for that internet, that DIA internet circuit, the big fiber that you really want to rely on until it's installed. So it allows for some rapid provisioning to be done. Reason number 7, network resiliency and application performance. So like we've talked about, a resilient network, just replace the term bulletproof. That's what resilient means. It's not just going down, it's making sure it's stable. It's also making sure, because you've got multiple paths, if one circuit's having some issues, you've got access to other circuits. So it makes it a very bulletproof type performance as far as that's concerned. Whoops. Reason number 8, single interface streamline management. There's a term out there called one pane of glass. So think of it this way. Let's say I'm not a big company, but I've got 5 locations spread across 2 different states. And for security purposes to run my business, I've got an MPLS network. Well, I can't physically see that network at all. I can't see it on a computer. I literally, again, have to go to every single location to actually examine that network. That's because it's a physical network. And if you remember, one of the things we talked about first is SD-WAN is running a network on top of a network, right? It's a logical network or software network running on top of a physical network. What that means is it allows us to now look at the entire network on one computer, one pane of glass. Literally, I don't care if you've got 5 locations. I don't care if you've got 5,000 locations. One display can show you every single location, every circuit, and the health of that circuit and the history of that circuit. I could say I want to see the health of every circuit for the last 5 days, and it'll show me. And usually it'll show me not only digital or numbered data that an IT person, but the layperson can look at it and see color-coded. Green, yellow means had some issues, slowed down, got some latency. Red, the circuit actually went down, show you for how long. I can see that, the entire network, and if I need to make changes and move stuff around, an IT person can actually do that with a click of a mouse And the neat thing about AirSpring is you don't have to be an expert. If you've got an IT staff that are experts and they want to do that, great, have at it. However, we're a managed solutions provider. What that means is we've got a whole core group of engineers do nothing but do this, manage it all day long. That means it's real simple. Hey, I want to change this in the SD-WAN application. I want to implement this business policy for whatever reason. I don't want my people accessing Facebook during business hours, right? But they can do it during lunch. Could you implement that business policy for me? They just call our customer service line. It's done. We do it for them. Simple phone call. Reason number 9, lower IT overhead. We've talked about that. You don't have to have a bunch of staff that physically has to go out or hire a technician that has to go out, for example. It's a big, big difference in the cost. There's just real, we call them soft costs with stuff like MPLS, but the soft costs are very real when you're buying plane tickets to send a tech out to a different state or, heaven forbid, to a different country. Finally, reason number 10, business growth, expansion, business agility. Because everything is point and click, kind of like I mentioned in an earlier slide, you can actually ship out pre-programmed SD-WAN boxes and just physically have someone literally plug them in. If they've been at their house and had cable modem sitting there and they plugged in one button for a cable modem, they can install SD-WAN that way because they don't have to do anything technical. Plug it in. Now listen, if you want us to install it, we absolutely can do that too. We can send out a technician. We do it all day long and install it for them. Just purely up to you. So what's the bottom line? Everything's going to the cloud. Everything. It's been that way for quite a while now for mid-enterprise to enterprise customers. Now we're seeing for the SMB market, everything again, it's going to the cloud. Think about your own business. There's very little that's truly on-premise anymore. Very little. So I'm not going to go through and read you all this stuff, but I want you to just kind of see some examples of some customers. And these are all recent customers within the last 12 months, just to give you some ideas maybe on your company. So this is a small liberal arts college. They had 3 locations. They actually had 2 locations on the West Coast, which is their primaries, and they had an East Coast satellite. We're seeing that a lot in colleges these days. They're running multiple locations, they're running satellite locations, and that's because technology allows you to do that. So we actually went in and we put in 1 gig DIA fiber circuits, and then we put in broadband backup circuits, so they've got primary and backup connectivity. We then put in SIP trunks across the entire network. That just means a digital voice line instead of a plain old telephone line, which is outrageously expensive. And then we put SD-WAN at all 3 locations to help manage the network, create security, but also it means that their IT staff, which is actually on the West Coast, doesn't have to fly over to the East Coast to manage the MPLS network that they had. Multi-location furniture company, 18 locations. They're in 3 states, spread across on the East Coast. They wanted one provider to handle everything. They had a bunch of different providers handling things. So we came in, same thing. If you'll notice, there's a common theme here. We put in primary and backup circuits. They wanted only tier 1 providers. That means the highest grade quality providers in the world. That's the AT&Ts, the Verizons of the world. And then we put it as SD-WAN at every single location. And then the last one's a pallet company. It's funny, you think about a pallet company, and they're actually a decent-sized company, 19 different locations, and they had an MPLS network covering 19 locations. They have 1 IT person running the company, 1. So that means when they got to make a physical change, that IT person had to fly out to one of their locations, do that, and they can't do anything else for the company IT-wise. That's their job. So it wasn't just cost of transport. It's actually now I'm limited in resources. If they had us, 1, they wouldn't have an MPLS network anymore, and 2, they just call us and we make the changes for them. IT person can do what they need to do to actually run their core business, not handle the infrastructure or the plumbing of the business, so to speak. This one we did everything. SD-WAN, internet, wireless backup, coax backup, and then we put in unified communications, a VoIP system, so to speak. Got rid of their plain old telephone lines and their phone systems, their little small phone systems that were every location. We unified everything. Now they have 1 provider to call, 1 contract. That's it. Simple as that. So, not going to go into a lot of detail, but I do want you to remind you, we actually do operate a global private network. So the bulk of our business is the United States, obviously, but we have also a lot of customers in different countries. And like I mentioned, we actually can do business in 190 countries. And so it's not only just being able to do connectivity in all these countries, but when we talk about SD-WAN, we actually can do SD-WAN anywhere in the world, and we operate a global private network. On the SD-WAN side, we can provide the circuits, whether it's in the United States or globally, or we can actually just put it over the top. So it's a great application for you. If you've got internet circuits already, you're in the middle of term agreements, so you can't change those without taking penalties for turning them down. That's okay. Technology Source can help you put in SD-WAN just over the top. Real simple. Works great. It'll work great with the existing network. And then when it comes time for those term agreements to be up, maybe you want to reconfigure that network. Maybe you want to use smaller circuits, but more of them to save money and get more redundancy. Or maybe you've got circuits, but you have no backup circuits. Let AirSpring put in the backup circuits. So I'm not going to go through and read you all this, but I want you to see some of the size and scope of what AirSpring does as a company. So we service the single site internet customer every single day. We do multiple of those every day of the week. It's a big business for us. And that's because that's the bulk of the business out there. But we also can handle a company of size. And so I want you to see this company. It's one of our international customers. Been with us about 2 years. They've got 125 locations. 75 of those are in international, and they're spread across 5 different continents. And they got 7,000 employees. Their issues were they've got a bunch of different providers all over the globe. They wanted one provider to handle everything. They also had an MPLS network globally, which was extremely expensive. I hope you're kind of getting that point. MPLS is expensive. And so they wanted us to come in, meet with their IT staff, which our engineers did. We did a bunch of whiteboard sessions, and together they actually redesigned the entire voice, data, and security network globally. And then we went in and we put in primary and backup circuits in every single location of different type circuits. It's whatever was best available at each location. We put in SD-WAN, and we put in Fortinet security physically at every single location. Now again, we're putting VMware boxes, the SD-WAN box, and the Fortinet security. We're putting those in physically for them, but they're actually managed virtual. We don't have to send a tech out every time a change is made or to check on a circuit or to repair a circuit. That all can be done with a click. It's really pretty cool. So this is the last slide, and I just want you to see this as a customer, because this is what I think is really important and differentiates us from a lot of different providers. So listen, the AT&Ts of the world and the Verizons of the world, we use their networks because, to be honest with you, they're the best networks in the world, hands down. The problem is, if you're not some multi-million-dollar customer, they can't support you real well. And so we always just tell our customers, listen, if you have a question about, well, listen, if you're using AT&T underneath, why don't I just go to AT&T Direct? Well, a couple of different reasons. One, we're actually typically going to be less expensive than AT&T Direct, surprisingly, than their own retail circuits. The other is the kind of service and support that you're going to get. So we always tell people, listen, go call AT&T's customer service line and see how long it takes you to reach an actual live person going through their IDR system, if you ever do. And then call AirSpring's customer service line, and you'll talk to a live person in under 60 seconds, period. In fact, last year, our average answer time was 11 seconds. So it's just a different level of customer service. This right here is an escalation list. This is a public document. Every customer has it. Every trusted advisor like Technology Source, they have it. And what that means is this. Every department in our company has an escalation going all the way to the CEO of the company. That is the CEO's real phone number and real email address. And why that's important is this. Technology's tricky. There's a lot of hands in the pot. Sometimes there are challenges with technology. Think about it even at your home with your own computer. Everything doesn't work perfect all of the time. So the question is, if there is a challenge, can you actually talk to a live body to help you? And if the person you're talking to isn't helping you to your satisfaction, can you go above them and escalate it? That's what this is. Now, we do ask you, please don't jump from level 1 to 11.7. We do ask that, but it's just, these are real people. So listen, you can pick up the phone and call somebody, or if you prefer, shoot them an email, but you actually can escalate this on your own without having to ask for permission, so to speak. This holds us accountable to you and to our trusted advisors like Technology Source. So we want to be accountable. I'm going to leave it at that. I thank you for your time and attention. Listen, if Technology Source can serve you in any way and they choose to use us to help you, we'd love to partner with you and do so.
You know, Scott, at the beginning of this presentation, we talked about this migration SD-WAN and what was happening there. We saw that there's 147% growth expected in the next year in this field. We saw that SMBs, 25% of them are planning on moving to SD-WAN in the next year. And when you realize that 47% of their time, their IT staff is spent doing network maintenance, it all starts to come together, right? Because you've got a lot of things that are happening right now with inflation, with hiring and staffing and maintaining staff. And you got this crush on security, right? With ransomware and malware, and AI is jumping in to help make that even more challenging. So organizations need to look for ways to work and do more with less, be more efficient, be more cost effective. And SD-WAN really has become the answer to that, and the requirement in many cases in order to support some of the cybersecurity needs that they have. So again, if you need some assistance with SD-WAN, looking at your network, looking at options and designs, we can certainly assist with that. There's never a fee for what we do. Scott, I think the presentation did a good job of outlining why it's a great consideration for our clients to look at not only SD-WAN, but AirSpring as being a provider, because I can tell you from experience working with those 500 providers that in many of them now, you go to the website, you can't find a telephone number. You go to a chat bot, and the chat bot makes it very difficult to communicate what you need, and it may take days to hear back from people. And at AirSpring, having the immediate, I maybe call me old fashioned, but I like the idea of reaching out and getting a hold of somebody and having them answer my phone call. And if anyone has any questions of whether that's accurate, make the phone call and try it for yourself, because it's a great reason to buy and go that direction. But hey, we want to thank everyone for their time today. I want to thank Scott for coming on and sharing all his insight on SD-WAN, telling us a little bit about AirSpring. And he's a nice guy to boot. So thanks for joining us today, Scott. And thanks for everyone who joined us virtually. We do this every month. Please join us 30 days from today on our next event, Cloud Desktop. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.